Liberty Flight sponsors 10-year tip with Garry Dibley.
And there we go. For the first time, it's Monday night, it's 9 o'clock. It is 10-year tip with me, Garry Dibley, live from... Someone type shed in chat. You evil bugger. It's a workshop. I've had this at work all week. People say it's made of wood, it's a shed. It's not, you know, there's love and blood gone into this damn thing. It's a workshop. Alright? May look like a shed, but it is a workshop. Good evening, guys. It is great to be back. I'm looking down at my notes, and you might have seen I was a bit confused beforehand. It's been a while. Many thanks to all the guys that have filled in and helped do this. We're going forwards, new things going on. I'm looking down at the notes and it says, Dibley, do not waffle too much. There is so much to get through tonight. So I might keep this, probably will keep this very short. For the first time, we're trying out the microphone that failed dramatically last time. I have note and pen and paper ready. So we've got some stuff pre-done, just in case the little bugger decides to die on me. Mark, who has been very good with his modding videos, as you have seen, and Kat doing some incredible fills. Been fantastic, and all the guys have been very supportive. There's been a lot going on here that obviously you've seen. Some I didn't film, some I did, some you see, some you didn't, but it's been a whole lot of pain. But it's good to be back, and back we are. And we're going to start the Tonight Show with the final part of the VV box mod that Mark's been making. Very nice, as I say. So we're going back to that music, which is really... Sorry, I had something stuck in me too. We're going back to the music that Mark seems to be making famous, and he won't let me have it for some reason. So back to the final part of Mark's VV mod.
Show up on here. One there and one there. That's because these boxes are designed for AA batteries, which, you know, have a large nipple on the top, and a lot of these batteries come flat topped or with very small nipples on them. So just to make proper contact, just add a drop of solder and everything will connect. So that's when you switch it on, press the button and nothing happens. And what should have happened there is the light should come on, but it didn't. I think I know why. 2 ticks. Right, I'm back. Helps when you notice that the camera stopped recording on you, doesn't it? So, basically, one lesson learned. Remember, this is a variable voltage circuit, and when it comes, you've got no idea what it's set at. In this case, it was set at the minimum voltage, which means when you press the button, no light comes on because it's too low for the LED. But when you turn the voltage up, you get your LED working, which will also mean your atomizer should work. So put the atomizer on top, carefully remembering that I haven't glued it together yet, and press the button. This is all very good. So now all that's left for me to do is glue this in place so that it's nice and secure and stuff doesn't move about and short out on you. So switch that off. Back shortly. Okay then, so I've got it all together. We know it's working. It's just a matter of gluing everything together. So I need something to stick all this in place, stop everything moving around. So I'm going to use another epoxy. And this is another one courtesy of Poundland. And it's a 2-part epoxy resin, clear version. So, as usual, just want to mix the 2 bits together evenly. Which is where this comes in very handy. Push the button and you get the same amount. Just bang in that. Big cup on and mix. And this is quite a fast setting epoxy. It seems to be that all the cheap ones are for some reason. So you want to be doing this when you've finished off everything and got everything ready to go. So, that's just pretty much mixed. So try not to get it everywhere. Just want to basically pour it into the open spaces. Just try and get a good layer of it down in between the circuit board and the case. This stuff's pretty runny, so you'll need to be a little bit careful. It's just a matter of dumping it all down inside. Go over the LED nicely so it won't move out. Get it around the base of the switch and the atomizer connector. Of course, not over your fingers. Just pour it down there. Looks like I might have to make some more up here. I really want to fill this area in well, because in this box there's not a lot to hold the atomizer connector in, so good strong layer of epoxy would really help. Actually, I think I've got enough here to do it. Much, this is all there is to it. Once this all sets off, it'll be nice and strong. And I'll show you it vaping once it's done. Back shortly. Right then, so this is basically our mod complete now. All the epoxy is nicely set and still looks quite neat. So it's sealed, especially around the atomizer connector, which is the most important part for me. Keeps it nicely fixed in place. Means that juice can't get into here as well, at least not through there. So that's it sorted pretty much. Pop the batteries in. And check if it still works. Which appears to be going nicely as far as that's concerned anyway. So, on these, for some reason, well, the way they're set up, with the circuit facing the inside, it's anti-clockwise to turn up the volume, voltage, and clockwise to reduce it. So, let's see what we've got at the moment. We'll go anywhere. Positive in the middle, negative to the outside. And I'm reading minus 7 volts. Oh, that's very strange. Back in a sec. Right then, well, that's soldering. Who managed not to spot the fact that I've put the positive and negative the wrong way around. So the positive is on the outside and negative is on the inside. Not that for an atomizer of any description is going to make any difference whatsoever. But for checking your voltage, it is the wrong way around. So there we are, 7.15. So it's a bit on the high side, I think. So I should give it a few turns down. See what we get there. That's 4.88. Okay, one more turn. Dead on 3.7. I want to be up at 3.7. The one problem I found with these circuits is adjusting the voltage. It's not a very linear thing. It's now gone up to 4.27 with the last quarter turn. Whereas the quarter turn before that made absolutely no difference. But it will work with a bit of practice. You'll get no change whatsoever. I've got a little bit of practice here, we'll get them sorted. Honest. There you go. 0.16, so it's near enough a fully charged battery. That's I think I'll keep it. More attention to which way around you're soldering things. But like I say, switching the positive and negative on the atomizer really isn't going to make no difference. Except if you've got one of those pre-built inline voltage checkers, they won't really if they're the wrong way around, they won't register and you'll be stuck. But any ordinary voltmeter or whatever, it won't make a mind of a difference to that, and your atomizer doesn't care which way around they are. So I'll just screw those together. Nice and neat. And there you have it. One completed VV box. And just to check everything. Quick scissor test. I suppose I better give a touch of vapor. I'm going to go off and enjoy this now. I'll catch you all whenever I'm back on. Bye bye.
Oh, sorry, it finished. I like that music. It's good. It's very good. What we're going to do is run very quickly into our first ad break, and I will be back after this, where we do have an auction tonight, or we are going to start an auction tonight. Courtesy of Mark. Very, very generous in what he's done, but more to come on that later. Let's go into our first ad break. Be back in a minute.
Liberty Flight sponsors 10-year tip with Garry Dibley. Sponsored by Liberty Flights.
And there we go. So we were sort of trying to work out what we were going to do, because Mark is going to be working very closely with me now on 10-year tip. I am very excited. It's going to take off a little bit of pressure. So we come up with a master plan. We were looking at what we could do and whether or not it was the music in some of Mark's videos. We decided we were going to talk about our tools, and you know, we had a few chats over Skype, and we compared some of our tools, and we decided it'd be a good idea to show you guys what we use, why we use them, if you like, in the interest of modding. So mine, I was a bit lazy because I was trying to kill two birds with one stone, so I did mine as I was modding, and I'm going to do my bit first and then we're going to Mark's. You'll probably see a lot of this going forwards, and hopefully it's enjoyable. Be different to get two sort of aspects of a modder, as it were, rather than just watching my ugly mug all the time. So I'm going to go into this bit first, and I'll see you back in a bit.
Well, there we go. He's back. Crikey. We're talking this week, and following on from Mark, the hands are back. Yes, we're going to be looking at tools, and tools. You know, they are one of the main things that we use to make mods. We all have our favourites. We all have some we like, some we don't like, some that work well, some that don't work well, some we wish we had. And there's always a bloody tool you can't find as well. And that's the most annoying one. What I'm going to talk about, a couple of things. Obviously you guys probably know what my favourite tool is. It is this little fellow. He's much used and abused. And I know I've gone through this before, but I said to, we had a chat with Mark, obviously Mark is going to become a regular feature, which is brilliant, and my main light has just gone wonky donkey and the bulb's blown. Oh, thank you very much. Tools, let you down. Now I have shadows. Never thee mind, he says, we will continue. Better unplug it. Nah, we'll leave it. I've got a fire extinguisher. Stunty. Where did Stunty come from? Now, I was sort of, you know, and it's adaptation and modern tools as well, and Stunty was, you know, I was looking for something to hold an atomizer connection, and to start with, I didn't have the rubber grips in, and I found that that was brilliant, but whilst trying to solder and hold it, it was becoming a pain in the bum. So I put the elastic band around the end, which gives it a nice little spring. It's not, it's my daughter's hairband. Nice little spring on there, which, you know, enables me now to hold an atomizer connection. You can tell I'm well out of practice. Hold an ATI connection in there and solder. The other problem I had was tinning up. And tinning up, I found then much easier to have a little bit of solder poking out the top of one of the sheaths on here to be able to dip my iron on and solder up. So we all need a Stunty. I would suggest go and get one. Believe it or not, this Stunty was actually part, and let me just close his ears so he can't hear you. He was part of a really crap £3 tool set, and he was the most useful tool out of it. There we go, didn't hear a thing. No Stunties were harmed in that recording. The next couple of tools I'm going to use, I thought would be good to I've got to finish a mod. I've got a mod that's going out to, where's it going? It's going out to the States. Somewhere rather posh, and if you're watching, I am on it, don't nag me. So I'm looking at it. Somebody asked me to do a little twin feedy tin thingy jobby, which we're going to do, which brings me on to my second tool, and he's waffling, which is good. We like to waffle. My second most favourite tool of all in the workshop is a good pair of cutters. You cannot beat a good pair of cutters. These are a cheap pair of cutters. It is my birthday next, well, whenever it is, on the 20th of September. And obviously I'm in the workshop. My family said, you know, what do you want? Do you want socks and stuff? I said, no, it's fine. It'd be nice if you could all sort of put a few pennies in, you know, and I'd like some nice cutters. So these are going to be replaced, and he might be, not sure yet, but if he does, we might even put Stunty up for auction for children in need. How about that? He's going to bite me today, isn't he? So where was I? Cutters. Can't beat a good pair of cutters. Good pair of cutters. You will cut every time. It don't matter what you're cutting. They cut. That's what they do. but the cheap ones, I've found that you're trying to cut you're trying to cut a component, or you need to get in, and when you need that to be sharp, some of them are just bloody awful. Also, another valuable modding tool in the plier thingy is some of these long nose pliers. They come in handy when you drop stuff and you can't get it and it's hidden down and all that sort of stuff, and I've used these ones quite a lot, and I need a new pair because these are going rusty. So yes, basic hand tools, these are the main things I would say. A stunty is always handy, good pair of side snips and a nice pair of fine nose pliers. Those are the only, if you like, cutting type tools that I tend to use. Which brings me on to our next tool, and probably the most valuable tool in any modder's toolbox, which is a soldering iron. Now, I'm not going to show you everything, but basically this is my iron. For those of you that are saying, go on, say it, he's got a Weller. No, he hasn't. It's a blue soldering iron. This is a little, basically, if you talk about it in what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working as a talk. If you think about a soldering iron in terms of vaping, for example, and you talk about your vary voltage devices. Oh, you said that, which in fact I have a new one. Show that look. Oh. Opportune moment to take a sneaky vape. I have a Z-Max. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not going to review it, but it's a rather nice little thing. Variable wattage, variable voltage, nice blue. You don't have to have that come out every time you want. But yeah, there it is, shiny, shiny. Someone else will do a view on it. It's mine. Haha. Think of a soldering iron, excuse me, in terms of a VV device. If we want our VV device to give more chunt, we turn up the voltage or the wattage. I can do both. Soldering iron is much the same thing. Juice or an atomizer or something like that, it has an ideal temperature. We know, that a 2 ohm Kato will work nicely at 8 watts if you so desire it to work at 8 watts nicely. Solder is much the same as juice. It has, if you like, an idealistic melting point, and most of your solder, when you buy solder, the packaging will tell you what that melting point is. I'm lucky enough to have a digital display on my soldering iron, and basically that I can adjust to the ideal melting point. Much like VV, what everybody, in terms of vaping, what suits one person doesn't suit another. So if you're lucky enough to have a variable heat soldering iron, the best thing to do is put it at the temperature the manufacturer recommends for the solder, and then play with it from there. You will find a nice flow, a nice melting point. Now, my soldering iron at the moment is set to 389 degrees, because that's where I like it. What I'm going to do, let me just zoom down on here, and as well as waffling to you about tools, we'll show you a little about soldering as well. Obviously, I've got this nice and hot. I am going to tin my tip, and I know this sounds like we're going over old ground, but we're not. You don't want that to be there smoking away for ages. It'll burn off and all of your flux and all that sort of stuff. So the best thing to do is roughly know where you're working, and while you're down to solder, tin up just prior to soldering. So tin up the tip just prior to soldering, and then apply the solder to the joint. I'll do the same on the other side. So it's roughly going to where you're working, tin up, on, bang, done. It's a real quick movement. I know a lot of people say I'll make it look so easy. It is relatively easy. If you stick it on there and let that burn away while you bugger about with some wires and this, that and the other, you'll you know, that's just sat on there frying. So, you know, nice and quick when you're using a soldering iron. Tin up your tip, straight down onto its soldering, and apply a dab of solder. I'll show you how, you know, we'll go through the soldering stuff again, just so I can tell you, this box is basically, it's going to be, although it's a twin 18650, I'm trying to do it sort of run on one or the other. So this battery compartment will run this atomizer because it's 20, this one will run that one. Press the button, they run both together, but if you take one of the batteries out, it'll still run, theoretically. What I'm going to do is switch the negs. So I need to bring them up. Oh my God, I don't know. How am I going to do this? Tell you what I'm going to do. Let me go away and think about that, because I've been waffling for far too long, and I'll come back and pick this up. And obviously we are talking about tools, but what I'm trying to do is kill a bird, or two birds, with the one stone. Talk to you in a bit.
Right then, today I'm just going to talk a bit about what I use and why I pick one thing over another. And first topic I'm going to discuss is epoxy. Now I use, as you've seen in the videos, I use several different kinds, ranging from this Panland 2-part epoxy, which is really good for filling in, making strong connections, things like that. It's really good, it's cheap, it's coarse, it'll do the job for most things. Or I use something more like this, a fine epoxy. And I tend to use that for the outside of things, thin layers, things where I want to shape it or flatten it off, because it's nice and fine. You get a good surface and a good look to your mod when you're finished. And then there's this one, another 2-part Panland epoxy. You just squeeze some out and mix it together. And you can with this you can virtually pour it into a narrow space. It's good for filling in behind atomizer connectors, because you can pour it down in there, hold it at an angle, it'll set and seal everything off and give you a good firm patty connector. So you don't have to worry about screwing things in too hard, things like that. That's basically why I use the 3 different kinds, although I may use more in the end when I find different things after I try them out. So that's about that for them. Next, we've got the one I think Garry suggests is a reaming tool, good for making holes bigger, just by hand, just make them slightly bigger than what they are. If you haven't got a drill bit big enough, you make the hole and drill into it, ream into it. It's good for taking off the edges, things like that. But I don't tend to use that very often now, since I've got these bits, the step drill bits. I find these a real time saver. It's so much easier just to use one of these to edge off something, or as they're well stepped. This one especially, I'm going to use it for most switches. You can just drill a hole to the exact size you need for most switches to fit in. So it takes away the real need for a reaming tool. But that's always handy to have around just in case. More soon. Most of the tools I use are fairly standard and cheap, Dremel type tool. Nice for control, with various, if you've got a good selection of bits for the end, cutters. I'm not exactly sure what these are supposed to be. I think a sharpening stone, and good for sanding out corners, getting rid of bits of plastic on boxes, things like that. Always a good tool to have. I tend to use it quite a lot. It's a lot easier than trying to chisel bits out of boxes, cut them out with standing knives, what have you. A lot safer. Use one of these. But that's just another standard tool. You can really do with a good Dremel though. because that's not so good, but it does the job for most things. And every trusty glue gun. This is good, especially when you're trying out mods. If you're not sure if everything's going to work the way you want it to, rather than use super glue or epoxy, you can just give it a fix in place with the glue gun. It's good for moulding, for holding in batteries, things like that. But most important, if you make a mistake, it's not so hard to get the glue out. The hot glue doesn't tend to bond especially to the surface, it just bonds in shape. So you can remove it fairly easily, but it'll still give a good strong connection. You can make a mod with this and it'll last, no problem. Or you can just make the mod to test out and then take out your glue, replace it with a permanent epoxy or super glue or whatever, and you'll be sorted.
Well, me and Mark comparing our tools. There we go. What I'm going to do is slip very nicely, he says. Click in. You may hear the click in because I'm not fully set up in here yet. I've got lots of stuff to sort. I've had to build a well, I had problems with the PC, and obviously, you know, that's one of the reasons why. Yeah. So I had to build a new PC, and that is on the workbench, which is vibrating, which is going through the microphone, which is, you know, there's padding and stuff everywhere. Anyway, I'll come back after this ad break and we'll go into our second set of tool comparison, and it gets messy.
And I'm back in the room. So,
Liberty Flight sponsors 10-year tip with Garry Diddley.
The GG, because you want one.
iWeber and iWeber Elixir, based in Yorkshire, for your e-cig needs. That's iWeber.co.uk and iWeber-elixir.co.uk. iWeber and iWeber-elixir.co.uk are proud sponsors of VaporTrails.tv.
Do you want your cash to scratch a little bit further? Do you want a safer cig? Then you need Safer Cigs, a proud sponsor of VaporTrails.tv. Go to www.safercigs.co.uk, stretching and not included.
And now back to Garry Diddley's 10-year tip, sponsored by Liberty Flights.
and I'm back in the room. So, following on from where we went, what I've decided to do in this particular mod is I'm going to switch the negative. So I'm going to take the negative in on one side of the switch and take a neg out, or two negs out potentially, up to either or. Now I know I could bridge across the negs at this end, but whatever. Making this up as I go along. So just to show you again that principle of soldering, and we're talking about tools and we're talking about the soldering iron. I'm ready here. I'm right over the piece I'm working on. Let me see if I can get you in a bit closer to show you what I mean. Okay, so straight away on here you can see that tip starting to change colour. That's just, you know, it's been sat there for a while. It's starting to not tarnish, but it's starting to go with the heat. I'm going to just give that a little cool down, bring it back to this colour. tin up straight away, straight on where I'm working, and I'm just going to work that solder into that joint. Returning and cleaning the tip. Always clean your tip with your soldering iron. I did say tip. Now this is where your fine nose pliers will come in again, that I just spoke about. Now I'm going to use these to hold this down roughly against this joint where I want it. Yeah, sorry, you have to excuse the hands. Right down in there. So roughly, this is damn tight. I might even have to get it in there and give it a little pull from this angle. Why do modders leave themselves no bloody room to work in? Right, so I've got that little joint in there. Now I'm gonna, this is where Stunty comes in, because he's holding me solder for me. And what I'm gonna do there, straight on the tin, straight on the joint, touch the two together, hold it there for a tick, remove, and that's in place. So with soldering, it's all about being, let me just zoom back out. Your tools are your main thing, obviously. They're what, you know, what you use to make your mods. Now, I'm just going to come out on here for this pause, somewhere around about there, for Ati numero uno, running off this battery, and this one here. Just feed that down there somewhere like that, and come out there for Ati numero docio. Nice sharp cutters. Again, you don't need a wire stripper with your cutters. You can just snippy roundy like that, just nibbling it, pull away, and you've trimmed off your wire. Same again for this one. A little nibble around the outside. Everybody loves a nibble around the outside. And again, tinning these up, literally straight away. Clean your iron. Dib on with your solder. Tap. You want it always to return to that nice shiny colour. If it starts to look like it's getting, you know, too hot, or I mean, I suppose the thing I could do is turn the like my VV, my juice is burning. I'm going to turn that down a bit. But I like to work with the soldering iron very, very hot, cool it down on the pad, and work with it straight away at the optimum temperature. That's why it looks so easy. If you haven't got a variable voltage, see, like that, see, we're coordinating the two. Nice sharp cutters cutting this off. See, we're working and we're talking about tools. If you haven't got a VV, or a, what's this, a V little OC soldering iron, degree centigrade, a variable centigrade soldering iron. If you haven't got one of those, where have you been, my friends? They can be picked up really, really cheaply. I mean, you can pick them up for a couple of quid on eBay now, pretty much. Anyway, let me zoom out. Yeah, we're doing this. As I say, I'm trying to kill two birds with one stone. Tools, we're talking about them, talking about how to use them. So it's all a bonus, and we're having a little look at a mod again for a change. He doesn't normally, we haven't been around for much, so I'm trying to give you everything today. Right, tin me tip straight up, straight on there, and this time it's a little dab, because I've got my solder on there, two wires attached. I might as well talk about the mod while I'm here. I did. Obviously what I'm doing is switching the negs. I'm running the positive wires up directly to the atomizers. I've got two negs coming off the switch, which basically means that you could run this mod with one battery in and run 180, as long as you knew that that battery compartment runs this ATI. Or you can run it in with this one on this one, they're both going to be 510s. Or put two batteries in and you can fire both the buggers together. That's what the man wanted. Don't ask me why. I'm sure it'll be greatly received. Just snip this back here. Snip this one back here. Trim these back. Say, good cutters, you put too much pressure on them, the buggers bite you. Or if you don't snip properly, I don't know, why have I gone into one of those accents? Now all you can see is the edge of a tin. I am so well out of practice on doing this sort of stuff. I'm only hoping that you know, if you're watching this live, the live bit was a damn sight better than this. Oh dear. But it's been good fun. I've got my workshop ready now. Again, good snips. Good snips are one of the things you really do want. I know I've said that to death. Now, my friends, what we are going to show you is where Senior Stunty comes in. Because what I'm doing is I'm feeding my wires through where I need them to go. And we might have a brief chat about another tool. Actually, when they told me we were going to be, they didn't tell me. It was suggested that we could talk about tools, and I just picked that up in the chat and assumed that they were talking about me. So there you go. I have my two wires through for each of the atomizer connections. Now, let's zoom down on these on the bench. My other favourite tool. My other favourite tool in the whole world that's so nice, I love him, is Mr. Dremel. Because what I've had to do, if you look at these two ATI connectors, I can't coordinate my left and my right. That one is ever so slightly shorter than that one. What I've had to do there is hold this in Stunty in an old ATI connection and grind, trim it down with a Dremel. Mainly because if I was to stick this in this box, it would have gone right the way back there. I just wanted to take it back a bit so it was easier. So the Dremel is a very good tool, and I have with my Dremel, I have one of the, if you like, the tool stands. Now the tool stands, they turn it into a pillar drill or all that sort of stuff. It's all good stuff. So, one of your other tools that you need to have in your arsenal, I said arsenal, as well as Stunty, is an old ATI Kato or whatever. You can screw an atomizer connection that you're going to solder on the Kato. Always check your rubber before you solder. And I can use this now to tin up. Going back to the soldering iron again. I know we've done this lots, but it works much the same way. Now people always say to me, why do you do it this way? Why, Mr. Dibley? Why? I like doing it this way. It seems a damn sight easier because from here, I've got my hot soldering iron, I can bring in my tip, I can tin it straight away, I can touch the side, dab a bead in, and I'm on. Same with this, clean my tip again. I'm cleaning my tip now, I'm not tinning it, I'm cleaning my tip. Straight on there. Now with a fine nose tip like this, that won't focus, you can bung a fine nose tip straight in the hole. Tin it, chuck it in the hole, bang some solder around, bish bash bosh as they say. One sealed ATI connector. They don't always say bish bash bosh, but again, I'm tinning my tip. I've got my solder on the side there. I'm just going to touch that wire on there. Bang, it's on. Fine nose pliers. tin in the way. Hands going everywhere. Find those pliers, again, used to guide this wire on the top. Need to tin that up, touch it, dab it, soldered. All of these tools, these are the main tools I use. You know, in terms of hand tools, in terms of everything, these are the main tools I use. Let me just take this off and we'll do the other ATI connecting. So again, on here, cool my tip down, clean it, tin it, dab it, touch it, done. Fine nose tip on this, tin it, poke it, give it a little juice. If it goes in a bit like that, just tin it, touch your top. Job, as they say, is a good one. Again with a wire, tin me tip straight on with me wire, touch me solder, and that's on. Bring in me fine nose pliers, or the stumpies. Hold on. This requires DOS hands. On there. Tin me tip, dab of solder, in there, touch on the top. Job is a good one. Ooh. So there we go. Those are the main tools we use. Mark, if he hasn't, I know he is going to talk about two of the other tools that I use in making a mod like this. One of which is a dab of super glue for holding in the ATI connection. The other one is obviously going to be either the the epoxy resin, the milliput, something like that. I'm going to just have a little go on Z-Max again. Did I tell you we had a Z-Max? It's most impressive actually. Oh yes. And to be honest, in terms of the variable wattage on that, it works damn well. It works as good as the kick in the silver bullet, which is what I was looking for. Anyway, enough waffling. I'm going to stop this video. I need to check my timings because I now have a co-pilot in Mark, and I don't want to clash with his time and have to cut anything short. If I've got 5 minutes left, I will come back and talk to you again.
Some of the other tools I tend to use. Always very important. Multimeter. You need this, testing circuits, things like that. Making sure everything's working okay. I used to use this one. It's a cheap one, but the problem that I had with this one, which is the reason why I bought this one, is this one has a beep when you're doing a continuity test. Because it's very difficult to have to watch the display and get the probes in the exact right position. It's much easier just to be able to turn it on in the right setting and you're working on something. If you want to know that if you're trying to find a short and you get a nice beep, dazzle like that, or you won't get a beep to make sure that it's not shorting out. So you don't have to watch the display, you can just probe various points and just listen to the sound. It makes life so much easier when I'm working. But apart from that, don't worry about expensive meters, things like that. For most things I do, I just don't need them. A cheap meter with a beep, lights, things like that, they come in handy, but basically any meter will do for most of the work you're going to do. It's all about making life easier though, so A beep's a good thing, as everybody knows. And we come on to what's probably one of the more important tools for a modder, the soldering iron. Now this is a basic soldering iron. It's one I used to use originally. No control on it whatsoever. It came with a really horrible tip, which I just couldn't get used to at all. So I replaced it with a flat tip. But really, that was no good for what I wanted, because there's no control over it. You can't set the temperature and like that. It'll do the job. Basic soldering joints, no problem at all. But what you really want, is, if you can, is to get a soldering station of some description, which has a temperature control, so you can set the temperature to what you need to use for the job you're doing. Higher temperatures if you're soldering to an atomizer connector, say, lower if you're soldering to delicate components. So somewhere to stand it, easy to replace the tips on them, because you will go through a fair amount of tips if you're going to do it a lot. That's coming out. And a sponge for cleaning your tip. Always make sure this is wet before you start. Not soaking, but damp enough so that it's going to clean the tip up without damaging it. Because if the sponge is dry, it gets very hard and it will damage the tip, or potentially damage the tip anyway. So that's really what you, if you're going to be doing any amount, that's really what you want to be using. Of course, something to remove solder, because you're always going to end up with too much solder on something at some point. So a good cheap sucking tool, insert joke here, always handy to have. Makes life so much easier trying to get rid of the excess solder if you put too much on and it ends up shorting out 2 points on a chip or something or other. You can just heat it up and just remove it with one of these. Good to have around. And apart from that, don't really use a lot of other tools. You've got your knives. Always handy to have a snap-off knife, so you can always keep a sharp blade ready. There's nothing worse than working over the blunted edge. Something like that. Various tweezers, needle nose pliers, something like that. Handy to hold something in when you're soldering, because whatever you do soldering, the rest of it is going to get hot. The last thing you want to be doing is letting go of something right in the middle of soldering it because it gets too hot, and then having to redo it around. So get yourself a stunt wrench, a vise, helping hands, something like that. I find it saves a lot of trouble. And that's about it for me today, I think. If anybody has any questions, I'm sure you can take them in chat. I'll get back to you.
And there we go. Thank you very much, Mark, for that. Now, I've got to thank Mark for one other thing, and this is it.
Hi folks, me again. I forgot to mention earlier, but if you'd like the chance to own this rather imperfect mod you've just seen me make, I will be auctioning it off on the forum with money going to Garry Dibley's Children in Need Fund. So if you'd like to bid for this, go on the forum and leave your bid. I'll be running in until Friday evening. So 10 o'clock on Friday I'll close the thread, and the highest bidder can send the money to the charity, and once I see that, I'll send this off to you. So have fun.
And there you go. So Mark has very kindly put up a mod. If you didn't know, I'm running a Children in Need not auction, but I started it a month ago. We're doing a Children in Need thing. All the details will be on the Vapor Trails forum under the Tin Tip. In this particular auction, Mark is going to be putting up that mod that you see him made. I'm going to put up as well. So there are 2 mods in this auction. I'm going to be putting up a Buzz Pro. This is a Red Buds Pro that I have come to me as faulty, and I put a new switch in it. Perfectly functioning now. So you have a nice shiny red Buzz Pro and the mark you just see, the mod you just see Mark made. So those 2 are going up for auction on the forum. That leaves me with one other thing to say, which is thank you very much, guys. Thank you for watching. It has been emotional as usual. I haven't said that for a long time, and I'll be back next week. Enjoy yourselves. Keep an eye on the forum. That auction won't be running until Friday. It will be running until this show next week. It will close at 9:15 while we're doing the show, and the highest bidder wins the Buzz Pro and the mod that Mark made. See you all next week. Cheers, guys.
Liberty Flight sponsors 10-Year Tip with Garry Dibley.